Mike Collins from Frodsham. I'm sure a large proportion of the pothole problems are caused by the work done by utilities, the water companies, the gas companies, electricity. And what appalls me is that you see them make a hole in the road, and then within a few weeks, the surface of that patch sinks because of the poor quality of the work that they've done. Surely you've got to apply more stringent quality standards to this work.
Lady there.
Could I just put in a few words about pavements? I lived abroad for a long time, mostly in Central Europe, where they used to adverse weather conditions, but sometimes it's no worse than it is here. And what really shocked me was the fact that pavements are not gritted or cleared here. As a result, as you've heard in the news all over the place, there have been a lot of extra accidents. May I just throw this idea briefly in? What happened over there is that you were legally liable for the clearance of the pavement outside your house. Now, of course, not everybody's going to get up at 3 in the morning and clear the snow off the pavement. But what we did was there were many, many companies who you contracted this work out to. Now, if they were lucky, there was no snow and they just collected their fee for the year. If not, they had to get out there and do it. But they also assumed the legal liability. Is this not an idea? I don't know whether a local council that's within their, or a council's remit to legislate on this, or whether just a pilot scheme and see if people won't get together and do it.
Because there was a bit of a rumour going around that if you actually cleared the snow and it then sort of froze over, that you could be liable. So people were not doing it.
It's not just a rumour, I've heard it confirmed by lawyers.
Let's I know the leader wants to come in, but perhaps both of you can tackle different aspects of those two things.
Yeah. The first question is about the damage which is caused by public undertakers digging trenches and so on. And of course we have very little control over what the public undertakers can do. They are entitled under the law to dig a trench in the road. All they have to do is to fill it up to the required specification and give us notice beforehand. What we try to do is to liaise with them to make sure that it fits in timing and programming and so on as best we can. And when we have a major operation which is going, we're able to set up very good control arrangements. For example, the renewal of the gas mains in Chester. And we're able to provide adequate supervision to check that the work has been done correctly in those cases and so on. But this is not something that we're able to do in every single case, and we have to rely on the public undertakers actually doing the work that they're supposed to do, backfilling correctly and doing it to the required specification and so on.
And who's going to deal with the pavement question? We must move on.
Well, I'll pick up the pavement question as well, because as far as the gritting of pavements is concerned, yes, that is not something that we normally do. We don't have the resources to do it, we don't have the machinery or the equipment to do it at present. But I do take the point, this suggestion that there should be a requirement, an expectation on the people who live nearby to be able to go and clear their pavement, if they're able to do, without the threat of a legal prosecution being hanging over their head if they choose to do it. After all, people are choosing to do this for their own convenience as much as anything else, and that of their neighbours.
Okay.
So I think this is worth looking at.
Leader, and then...
Thank you, Jim. I think, frankly, it's a loss of civic responsibility. I think it's a very sensible thing to do, to require people to clear the pavement outside their house, so that we protect some of the most vulnerable in our communities, so they can get out and get some food and whatever. And I think it's a really stupid idea that they can be sued, but that's my personal view. In terms of the utilities, New Road Street Works Act says that if they make a repair and it fails within 2 years, in other words it sinks, they have a responsibility to come back and repair it. And what we've got to do is be better at holding them to account to do that. And finally, we've talked about the debate, and I think the question you asked is very good. Is our roads more important than this or this or this? Well, one of the reasons why we've given you these cards representing £5 million is for you to give us a flavour of what you think actually are our priorities for spending on our capital monies. So I'll bounce that back to you, and hopefully we'll publish the results of the 3 sessions to see what you actually feel about what our priorities should be.
That really is an important part of the morning, you know, afterwards, if you would put your cards in, it's not just a game for fun. They do really want to know, you know, in these difficult circumstances, you know, what choices would you actually make? Councillor Dowling, then I must move on.
I just wanted to pick up the issue of gritting pavements to show that we don't operate in silos. We recognise the huge cost to the NHS of the additional falls caused by pavements not being gritted. So we did actually talk to our NHS partners, because in one local authority in the country, the NHS actually paid for the gritting of the pavements because the local authority wasn't able to do it. So we talked to our partners, and in principle, they thought that was an excellent idea. However, unfortunately, they didn't have the money either. But I mean, the point that you make, that expenditure on one thing saves huge amounts of public money on another, is well taken, and we are trying to do that.
Okay, Lewis, a question on leisure services, leisure facilities on behalf of the question.
Yeah, this is from a lady from Winsford, and her question is, access to green spaces and reasonably priced sports and leisure facilities have been shown to reduce low moods and boost self-esteem. Where in your plans to become the best council in the country are the means to enhance mental well-being of Cheshire's residents?
This is a question for Councillor Short.
Well, we do have a wider health agenda, which is one of the overriding priorities for our service. We recognise that this is very, very important, and our key priorities are to maximise the impact and outcomes of this service we provide in relation to health and well-being. I think we all know that physical activity does contribute to the mental well-being of people. So what we're looking from in terms of leisure and sport is that we are reviewing what we provide so that we can make sure that provision, both indoor and outdoor, for physical activity is something which we meet the needs of the people in the various areas. It's not just about improving the stock, which is obviously the thing you like to do. We want to provide better facilities, easier facilities for the whole of the age range. I think it is also important that we aim to provide activities which do stimulate the mind, and I think with increasing age developing, with people getting older, we do have problems with mental illness, dementia, etc. And it is known that mental activity does reduce this impact. And what we're now trying to do is develop small groups who will provide, or what you say, like bridge clubs, or provide painting for, do art groups get together. We also want to provide the bigger cultural activities such as concerts, where people leave their home, go out and actually meet other people, socialise. All these things will improve the mental well-being of Cheshire West and Chester's residents. So I think, yes, we do know the value of activity, both cultural and physical.
Okay, Lynn
and we
Riley.
need to do that in the future.
And this is an absolutely wonderful place for all the strategic partners to work together, because we have the place, we have those open spaces, we have the leisure centres, we have the buildings, but what we're actively doing is we're working with the third sector assembly so that we can basically commission charity groups and voluntary sector groups to provide the content that takes place in our places, if you like. So, there's some absolutely wonderful ideas out there with, sort of partners like Age UK, who have worked with the PCT so that technically speaking, you can go along and go away with a prescription, but for some leisure activities or an art activity, which is particularly valuable for some of our sort of ageing members of the population, to keep them sort of physically active and on Brenda's agenda for preventing people having to access the social care service. So, again, this is very much where the council are going with this. It is all about joined up working and partnership working.
Okay. Is Does anyone come in on